the DG and Deputy DG of NITA, distinguished guests, members of the HR Focus team, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is a great pleasure to bring warm greetings and goodwill message from the Data Protection Commission to the HR Focus team as we celebrate this year's ICT Week. I wish to commend the HR Focus team for creating this platform to reflect on the role of technology and transforming the way we work, communicate, deliver services, and create value. Technology is no longer simply an IT function. It has become central to how organizations operate, make decisions, manage people, and deliver services. This is especially evident in human resource management. The focus areas of my message are as follows: technology and the changing role of HR. HR professionals as custodians of trust. Artificial intelligence and HR. A call to the HR community and the DPC's commitment. Now, the modern HR professional works with digital systems that process significant amount of personal information. An HR department may hold an employee's name, contact details, identification information, educational and employment history, salary and bank details, performance records, leave records, medical information, disciplinary records, and increasingly biometric information. Technology provides enormous opportunities to manage this information more efficiently. Digital systems can make recruitment faster, improve payroll administration, support employee development, identify skills gap, and strengthen workforce planning. Artificial intelligence can also assist HR professionals to analyze information and make better informed decisions. But greater technology capability also brings greater responsibility. The question should therefore not only be what can technology help us do, we must also ask, what should we do with the information that technology makes available to us? That is where responsible data governance becomes very important. HR professionals as custodians of trust. From the perspective of the Data Protection Commission, HR professionals are important custodians of personal information. Consider something as simple as the introduction of a biometric attendance system. The technology may help an organization improve attendance management. However, the HR should ask these questions. Why is this information necessary at the point of collection? Who will have access to it? How long will it be retained? What happens when an employee leaves? How will the information be protected? Have employees been properly informed about this particular processing? These are not merely IT questions. They are questions of governance, accountability, and trust. Similarly, when an organization moves from paper-based employee record to a digital HR management system, it gains efficiency but also creates new responsibilities. Employee information may now be accessible from multiple locations and by different users. Appropriate controls must therefore accompany the technology. Now, artificial intelligence and HR. Ladies and gentlemen, the growing use of artificial intelligence makes these considerations even more important. Imagine an organization using an AI-enabled recruitment system to screen hundreds of applications. The system may save time and improve efficiency, but we must ask, what data was used to train the system? Could the system reproduce historical biases? Could qualified applicants be unfairly excluded? Can the organization explain how a significant decision was reached, who takes responsibility for the outcomes of these decisions. These questions are particularly important in HR because employment decisions can have significant consequences for people's careers and livelihoods. Our position should therefore be clear. AI should assist human decision-making. It should not become an excuse for abandoning human accountability. Responsible innovation requires us to consider privacy, fairness, transparency, security, and accountability from the beginning, from the outset of the process. As you digitize HR processes, consider privacy and data protection from the outset. As you procure HR technologies, ask vendors how employee information will be collected, processed, stored, shared, and protected. As you introduce AI, consider its implications for fairness, transparency, and accountability. As we manage employee records, let's remember that behind every data record is a real person whose dignity and right must be respected. More importantly, data protection should not be regarded as the responsibility of the IT department alone. IT provides technology, but legal provides guidance, whereas management provides direction. But every person who collects, assesses, or uses, shares personal information has a role to play in protecting it. So we say if you cannot protect it, do not even collect it. Now this is the DPC's commitment in this topic. At the Data Protection Commission, we recognize that our role extends beyond regulation. We must educate, guide, and work with organizations to build a culture of responsible data use. We therefore welcome opportunities such as this ICT Week celebration to engage with professionals who are central to Ghana's digital transformation. The Commission remains committed to strengthening collaboration with the HR community in promoting privacy by design, responsible innovation, stronger data governance, and a culture of accountability. We believe that data protection should not be viewed as a barrier to technology. Rather, responsible data protection creates the confidence that allows technology and innovation to scale. In conclusion, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Ghana's digital future is already here. The question is not whether we will become more digital. We know we will. The more important question is what kind of digital society and digital economy do we want to build? As the Data Protection Commission, we believe it must be one that is innovative but responsible, efficient but fair, technologically advanced but respectful of human dignity and privacy rights. As we pursue this future, let us remember we cannot build a trusted digital economy without trusted people, trusted institutions, and responsible use of data. I once again commend the HR Focus team for organizing this important forum. On behalf of the Executive Director, management, and staff of the Data Protection Commission, I extend our warmest congratulations and best wishes to you. May this ICT Week inspire new ideas, strengthen collaboration, and most importantly, help us build a Ghana where innovation and trust grow together. Innovation and trust must always grow together. Thank you very much, and I wish you a successful and impactful ICT Week celebration. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Another round of applause for Mr. Akrobato, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I can see the seats are slowly filling up. We are grateful for that. So we are going to commence with our very first panel discussion. The theme for this panel discussion, because I want all of you to be thinking as we are speaking, it is going to be building scalable African tech solutions for workforce productivity. We're going to be talking about building scalable African tech solutions for workforce productivity. And the people that would be joining me, so I'll be moderating this panel discussion, and the people that will be joining me are in the person of Mr. Isaac Obuo, representing the Anti-Fraud Initiative right here in Ghana. Right, a round of applause for Mr. Isaac. Thank you so much. There we go. Lovely. Yes, feel free to take the stage. Then we have Davis Frimpong, who is the head of human resources at Aya Data. Right, let us give Davis a huge round of applause as well. And then we have Mr. Quentin Akrobato, who we just listened to, right, that will be joining us, right, for this panel discussion. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, I believe I would go ahead and take my seat at the edge, right, as is typical of moderators these days. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So, gentlemen, do we all have mics? Are we all set? All right, beautiful. I'd love just to have an opening statement from each and every one of you, just to talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we can dive into today's discussion. Is that okay? All right. So, Mr. Isaac, why don't we start with you?
Thank you so much, and thanks everyone for being here today. My name is Isaac Obuo. I'm into fraud prevention, and of course, when you say fraud prevention, it becomes weird because looking at the world now, fraud is becoming so critical. So I'm a professional. I started banking. I worked at Zenith Bank for some time, and then I moved on to the US, and I joined KPMG, an audit firm, doing compliance audit. And so I managed to see a lot because of the desk I was on, working with multinationals and others. So I began to see that most issues that we see here are, fraud coming from employers and others. So I started to take that charge. And then that's where Anti-Fraud Initiative Ghana started. Yeah. That's a little bit about me.
Fantastic. What a rich history. Thank you so much for sharing that. Davis, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you very much. So I am Davis, and then I lead HR for Aya Data. I've been doing this for 10 years, and anybody who would ask, I tell them that I have a love-hate relationship with my profession, because there are days that I enjoy it, and there are days that I wish I was doing something else. But generally, it's been fun. I am with Aya Data, like I said, and what we do is we provide services in the AI space. So I particularly work in the AI space, and that has two legs. So whether you need us to come in and provide an AI solution to make your processes more efficient, we are your guys. And then beyond that, we also provide services to other AI companies. So if you take, for instance, the autonomous vehicles, the vehicles that are driving on their own, they've gone through a process of learning, right? So you've had to train the models to understand what a human being is, what a car is, what the traffic light signals mean, etc. Before you get to that point, you should train the model with the information to recognize a human being, to recognize a car, a traffic light, and data annotation is one of the things that one of the services that we provide for clients in the AI space. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Mr. Akrobato.
All right. Once again, my name is Quentin Akrobato. I work with the Data Protection Commission as the Director, Regulatory Compliance. I supervise all the various operational units within the Data Protection Commission, and it is my duty to ensure that every business is registered and comply with the data protection provisions as stated in Act 843, the Data Protection Act. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, good. So we're going to go ahead and dive into the topic of the day, right? And it's interesting to see that we are coming from some significant backgrounds, right? We have anti-fraud, we have data protection, Aya Data, and you're also doubling in the HR space as well. So I'm sure there are a lot of HR professionals here who can relate, right, with each and every one of you in one way or the other. Now, when we are talking about the theme, which is building scalable African tech solutions for workforce productivity, what we're really looking at is understanding the fact that there is an increasing demand, right? There's an increasing demand for so many tech solutions, AI solutions, but when they are fragmented, when they exist only in the corner of your office or only on your IT guy's laptop, it becomes a little bit challenging because we have all seen and or witnessed the full value of technological solutions from the West, right? These are solutions that have scaled and become global phenomenons, right? We're looking at Claude by Anthropic, we're looking at ChatGPT by OpenAI, and these are global systems, but none of which are inherently African, right? And so to more or less bring this home, what we're going to be discussing, some of the questions that we'll be talking about is going to center on that Africanness, is going to center on the ability to scale. And one of the first questions that I'd like to open up with is, what is the biggest barrier? What is the biggest challenge in scaling technological solutions across multiple African countries, right? Because we wouldn't be talking about it if there wasn't a challenge. If it were easy, everyone will do it, correct? Yes? Beautiful. And so we're kicking it off straight out the gate with, what are the challenges? What are we facing, right? If any one of you can just talk to the landscape, why is it difficult to be able to scale technological solutions across African countries? Yeah, feel free, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Toby. So I'll take this because I would be speaking from experience. Now, if you look at Africa, what you see or what we have is 54 different countries, right? And so what that means is there are 54 different regulations you have to deal with, 54 different laws, tax systems, currencies, even as far as dominant payment systems vary across the board, right? So what makes it challenging is the fact that you can have a solution that works very well for one industry, and then when you have to scale it, you now have to deal with all these very different laws, and then that creates a lot of stress on your build because you would have to adapt as you learn. You have a solution that's currently working for one market, one country, one industry. Now you are going to another country where you have to deal with several other industries, several other regulations, and it's very, very difficult to have one solution that actually attends to all of these things. And for me, all we do at IR Data is, before we start building, we try to understand the markets that we are looking to get into. We try to understand the data issues because that would shape how you save data and everything. Once you have an understanding of these things, it's not going to be perfect, but you would have something that you can eventually scale with ease. So that's how we attend to it at IR Data, and that's that one problem that we've actually seen affect a lot of tech solutions.
So interesting. So from what you're saying, you are more or less even putting it at how separated Africa is to begin with, right? Because as he said, right, we have the African Union, you know, Pan-African societies and so on, but there's still so much separation in between the countries. So, I mean, just to follow up on this, is the solution information sharing? Is it the case of, you know what, let me offer all that I know? Because that's what OpenAI did, right? They made, you know, ChatGPT and all of these things open for the technological markets to just dive into. What would you say about that?
That's a very difficult question to answer, honestly. But I think that usually should be guided by the solution you're building and how you intend to scale, right? So, for instance, if you're looking at building the solution that you can scale, there are three different aspects you need to see it from. The technical scalability, like being able to add more people as you grow.
Okay.
The market scalability, being able to move into other markets. And then the adoption scalability. Is it something that can be easily adopted, right? If you're not answering these questions or you don't have the answers to these questions, you are more than likely going to build something that will not work everywhere. And so for us there, or for me, what I would say is, again, back to the point I initially made, understand what you're building, the market you are looking to get into, and based on that, you shape your build. The technical bits will be better addressed by a technical person, but at the very beginning, the research that you do into the build or the solution is the most important thing that you have to deal with. Thank you.
Right. And I'm glad that you highlighted that, the technical scalability, the market scalability, and the adoption scalability. These are some of the valuable pieces of information that is just going to be coming out of this conversation. So I'm so glad that you shared on that, Mr. Frimpong. Isaac, if you don't mind if I throw this to you. So you're working extensively, right, with the Anti-Fraud Commission, right? Now, I want you to highlight the dangers, all right, of scalability with relation to fraud. Because if people are out there, right, who are misusing our data and using that to access even more data for themselves and do dubious things, I want you to paint a picture of what that looks like. Because there are so many of us here in this audience that, for instance, how many of you have thought about anti-fraud in the last week or two? Show by hand. Oh, wow. Fantastic. A few people, but not the majority, okay? But you see, every one of us has been using data. We've been using our phones. We've been going online. We've been doing banking transactions, right? The fact that we're not thinking about it is part of the problem. We're still at risk, whether we think about it or not. So I just want you to speak to the risk of fraud in this realm of scalability, AI, and tech. And then we'll come to Quentin to talk about how we can actually protect ourselves in moments like that. So why don't you go ahead, Isaac?
Okay, thank you so much. So when you ask whether people think about fraud, and you can't even blame anyone, you can't blame any institution. Even at the global level, this year actually was the first time the United Nations decided to converge on fraud. So in March 2026, we had, and I was a speaker at Vienna in Austria.
Wow.
We converged for the first time, bringing all the stakeholders, attorney generals of countries and leaders to start